Hey, what's up guys? Maniac here. Yep, Godzilla's behind me. My 24-inch figure, so cool. Although I'm not going to keep it up there for a very long time because it's way too big for my shelf. And I gotta put him somewhere else. But I'm going to leave him up here just because the week of Godzilla's going on. So, yeah. You're only going to see this when I'm reviewing Godzilla. So, yeah. So, moving on with our Godzilla Marathon reviews. Godzilla vs. Biollante. Yeah, okay, so I got two DVDs. I got a bootleg version, then I also got the official Miramax DVD release. Sure got the Blu-ray, but oh well. DVD is pretty much enough. So, yeah. So, Godzilla vs. Biollante. Now, this was a sequel for 1985, and I gotta say, this one is pretty much a bit better than 1985. A little bit better. I mean, this is where at the point where the high-size series starts to get really good. So I think that like Godzilla vs. Biollante is a really good underrated Godzilla movie, which I think it's really, really cool. The plot about this movie is that there's this scientist named Dr. Shiragami, which he lost a daughter, and it took place 5 years after the events, and Dr. Shiragami is trying to study like biological cells and just combine it with Godzilla cells or whatever scientist crap is that. But once he put those form together, it starts to turn in those forms, those cells created this mutated form of Biollante. The first stage, which is some sort of like a rose flower, or just like a rose for a head, and like the mouth for vines and everything. And then Godzilla comes back from the volcano, like in the last time in 1985 where he got pushed into the volcano. Now he got out of the volcano, and somehow Biollante is calling out for Godzilla for a fight, saying like, hey, you, come fight me. It's like, okay. So, yeah, that's pretty much basically the plot of this movie, and it's pretty much not that bad. And for original monster, I mean, let's talk about first of all, let's talk about Biollante. Like, Biollante is an interesting monster. I mean, he sort of reminds me of the Little Shop of Horrors, Audrey, was it 2? Yeah, Audrey 2. I mean, that's what Biollante sort of reminds me of, Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. It's a pretty interesting monster. Like, the first stage, it's really interesting because, like, it has, like, a rose for a head. I mean, it can't do anything else except for the vine arms and everything. And then the second stage is actually one of the coolest looking versions of Biollante, because he's got like this, or she, it's a girl, I forgot. Like, she's got this really big crocodile mouth, which I thought that looked so cool. He's so big, like I think he's like even bigger than Godzilla. I mean, just like, you know, he's like fat and huge, and it's so cool. And he's also really fun to play in Godzilla Unleashed. I heard that he was in Save the Earth, but I wonder why they cut him out. But yeah, it's really interesting. But yeah, Biollante is such a really interesting monster. And Godzilla in this time they got a suit change. Like, the design's a little bit changed. And I gotta say, for Godzilla's design in this movie, it's a little bit better than 1985. Because in 1985, Godzilla looked kind of too cartoony-ish with his eyes popping out. But this time, they make him look a little bit more meaner and a little bit more scarier, which I kind of like that. And this is where Godzilla looks so awesome in the rest of the series, how he looks really mean and scary. So yeah, I mean, the rest of the Heisei series with Godzilla, when they went for this design, I think it looks really, really cool. Let's see, what else did I say that's good? Oh, another thing that's good is that still this movie has no interesting characters, except for one, which that's another scientist. I think that's the thing. I think one of my favorite characters in one of the Japanese Godzilla movies are mostly the scientists. I mean, there's Dr. Serizawa, Dr. Mifune, and now Dr. Shiragami, which he's not really my favorite scientist in the movie. I still prefer Serizawa or Mifune, but Shiragami's pretty interesting though. Like, he wants to make Biollante, like, it's based off on like his daughter's works, I guess. But, you know, it's so interesting. The fight scenes with Biollante and Godzilla are pretty interesting too. Like Biollante's techniques are spitting this seed stuff out of his mouth, which it's kind of gross. Which that could actually weaken Godzilla, because like once that stuff gets on Godzilla, like the germs and I heard the germs and bacteria on Godzilla would make him sick. Like at the end, where like he lost the fight because like he got so super sick. He's like, oh, okay, you know, I'm gonna have to sleep for this one. Like it's like that's so cool about Biollante. Like if Biollante like shoots stuff at you, then you start becoming sick, which is pretty interesting. And also, there's also a really cool scene with Godzilla, and there's also the Super X2, which it's really much interesting because this time with the Super X in 1985, it was cool, but with missiles and everything. But this time with Super X, like it's interesting. Godzilla like shoots his atomic ray at it, but then it has like this mirror thing that shoots out at Godzilla. So whenever Godzilla shoots out his atomic breath, the atomic breath would just mirror the Super X2 and shoots back, which is actually pretty interesting. So yeah, I think that's what I'd say with Godzilla vs. Biollante for this one. But I think this one's actually really good. This is we're at the point where the Heisei series are starting to get really, really good. I mean, it's really interesting. Biollante is such an interesting original monster, and Godzilla has a really cool design. But I think it's a little better than the 1985 version. And it's just a pretty cool movie. Check this one out. I would give it a B. Pretty good movie. Check this one out. So, my last question is, what did you think of Godzilla vs. Biollante? Comment that down below. Check out my other videos. They're really cool. Like and subscribe. Like my page on Facebook. Also, there's also going to be a link on the screen where I actually talk about the DVD. So if you want to hear my older video about talking about this Miramax DVD version over this, then check it out. I know it's like one of my older crappy movies, or crappy videos, but if you want to know what my opinions are when this came out, then check it out. See ya.